tale of two halves there. But I want to give them a lot of credit. I thought they came out very fearless, thought they were loose, thought they were aggressive, thought they made plays. They shot 62% in the first half. You know, that's not easy to do in any game. So, you know, before I talk about us, I want to give them a lot of credit. Barlow was terrific in the first half. We really didn't have much of an answer for him. He had 18 and then assisted on 3 more field goals, 2 of which were threes. You know, so he was responsible for 26 of their first half points. Thought it was a heck of a performance by him. My hat's off to him and to Howard for having those kids ready to play. You know, on the other side of the coin for us, you know, I thought we came to play, but we didn't come to fight. And our team has been good because we grind, we're tough, we're together. We got great guys in our locker room. We battle, you know, we do all those things. You saw that last weekend. I thought we did that for 40 minutes. I didn't think we had that in the first 20 minutes. You know, by the time we got it figured out at halftime, fortunately for us, we were able to come out. There's guys in our locker room that have a lot of pride. I'm a very lucky guy because they're very proud of, you know, of our team and how they play and our defense, and they came out with a much tougher disposition in the second half. I thought our defense was really good. I thought that Ray, Joe, Tracy really made plays on the offensive end and defensive end. I thought Egwu and Iki's ball screen defense was tremendous in the second half. You know, we had different guys guarding Bardlow in the second half. A couple times we did that in the second half, but for the most part, I think what stands out about Ray's second half performance was, yeah, he was great on the offensive end, but he was guarding their guy at the other end for the bulk of the second half. I thought he did a good job there as well. I thought it was maybe one of his more complete, you know, performances of the year. But we had a lot of guys step up in the second half. So our guys are smart enough to know you got to have that fight for 40 minutes with what we're getting ready to start here with Season 2 beginning on Tuesday. Talked about that a little bit in the locker room. But nonetheless, you know, very proud of them in terms of, you know, finishing Season 1 at 11-2. That's really a byproduct. We don't talk about a record that we want to get. We talk about more about playing well. And I think we've made a lot of strides from where we started. We still have a long way to go and can get better in a lot of areas. And, you know, we'll get back to work tomorrow at trying to improve and take a look at what we saw and get ready for a really good Indiana team on Tuesday at home. Questions for the players?
Ray, what did you notice just in the second half as far as, I mean, offensively, just the attack mode you kind of came out in and also the defensive end?
I mean, Coach just talks about all the time about being aggressive, and he said we got very talented guards, and we just try to stay aggressive the whole game.
Ray, what was it like trying to guard Barlow in that second half, and what kind of challenge did you have?
I mean, he was like just going off in the first half, so I mean, it was just a mentality. I mean, just being tough on the ball, trying to deny him, just doing everything you can to just keep him from scoring. I mean, he did a great job of scoring.
Joe, just in years past, how ready is this team for Big Ten play?
I think we've been through a lot of close games. That's one big thing with the conference. There's a lot of close games. I mean, it always comes down to some last second or get a stop. But I think that's really tested us in the preseason. So I think we're ready.
Joe, a couple times, Ray's kind of taking over at times in the game. What's it like being out there with him, being on the floor with him, and just kind of a rhythm like that?
It's great. I mean, just let him get in his groove. He can score in a lot of ways, and that really helps out our team and kind of opens up the court for everybody else when he's getting to the basket like that, making shots. That kind of creates help for the other team, helping off guys and other guys hit open shots, and also getting to the rebounding when he's going to the hole.
For you guys, John mentioned that in the locker room, you guys have a lot of pride in what you do. What was the conversation amongst yourselves when you're down?
I mean, I lost to him last time we were here my freshman year. So, I mean, I kind of told them how it was going to be, how they're going to be ready to play. I think we really responded to that in the second half. They really came out in the first half, hit some big shots, got a big lead, but I think we stayed poised and came out to win.
Ray, when did you actually zero in on Chelsea Barlow defensively? When did you, I don't think you started the game on him as I saw.
No, I started guarding the second half. Coach just asked me to take on that challenge, and I did that.
Some in the first half. I mean, had you switched up on him in the first half?
I mean, in situations like maybe like if it was like a brush screen or something, like we had to switch. But I mean, yeah.
Did you feel like he at some point began to lose confidence in himself to do it? He started just throwing the ball to the guy next to him after a while.
I mean, that was my job. I mean, I did what Coach asked me to do, and I mean, he just started getting rid of the ball a little bit more.
Ray, are you doing what you expected to do this year? Are you surprising yourself? How are you sort of processing what you're doing this year?
My coaches and like the whole coach staff just put me in that situation, just getting my body right this summer and just working out, just dieting right. They helped me be successful, just put me in a great situation to be successful.
When we talk to you, Ray, you never seem to get lost in a moment like this. Your emotions are very much in control. Is that your nature? Have you always been that way?
Yeah, coach just talks about always staying calm, being positive. Like we didn't panic when we was down 10. I mean, like we was down 10 in Vegas, and we just went in the locker room, just told the team, let's just get it together, and we just came out ready to compete second half.
Both you guys, in hindsight, as good a time of it as you had in the second half, it was 40-16 for the second half. Is it hard to believe you got down like you did in the first half, and what's your explanation?
I mean, they came out through the first punch, like Coach said, but like I said, we stayed calm, got our team together, and came out on top today.
I mean, it wasn't good to get down like that, but I mean, every team makes runs. And their run just happened to be when the ball tipped, and they just kept making shots. And we fought back a little bit in the first half, and just kept it going during the second half, and we made our run. So, I mean, it's kind of a game of runs, so we just had a limit there.
Joe, you mentioned losing to you guys a few years ago. How much different is it now as opposed to when you walk out here with the ball?
It's definitely different, especially being in Chicago, playing in front of your family, and with them being a Chicago team, I think they're definitely ready to play us, and we're ready to play them. So I think it kind of clashes like that. So I think that's one of the big reasons why I think it's an important game for us.
But Hope, you kind of expound on the fact that coming here to Chicago and playing in front of this crowd. Like you say, it is the Chicago team playing in front of basically a home game. But you kind of expound on playing here in the United States.
I think like we saw a lot of orange in the crowd. Everybody came out to support us. We had a lot of family in the crowd. We had a lot of Chicago guys on the team. So I know that they were ready to play in front of everybody. So.
I mean, it's always great to play in front of fans, like, even fans from, like, another city, like Chicago. I mean, it's just great playing in front of, like, different city fans, I guess.
Anything else for the players? Kind of let them go see their family.
Hey, go and see your family, so don't kick them out. All right, get ready to kick them out.
All right, thanks.
What are Ray's skills that help him guard somebody like Barlow in the second half the way that he did? What is he?
Size, strength, hands, anticipation, quickness, explosiveness. You want me to keep going? And most importantly, his mind. He's a tough dude. So I think all those things allow him to be, to have the opportunity to be a really good, to great defender. We ask an awful lot of him at the other end as well. I think that was what was, impressive about the second half there was, he had to give us, his best at both ends of the floor. Sometimes you see a scorer or a shooter maybe doesn't have the best guy at the other end. Oftentimes that's fairly common. And tonight in the second half, he did it at both ends. I thought that's why it was really impressive.
Should he prepare himself for 36 minutes per game? You're going to need that out of him as Big Ten player.
Well, I mean, we'll see. That's a game-by-game deal, and the development of our younger guys in some ways will also determine that. How Ray's playing will determine that. Dustin tried to get him a couple other blows, but I put my hand over Dustin's mouth, tried to get him to be quiet. Back in the day when I used to work for Coach Mata, sometimes I'd tell him David West was tired, and he'd bring Dave over and say, "Hey, Dave, are you tired?" And Dave'd be like, "No," and he'd look at me and see, John, he ain't tired, he can play. And that's what I did with Ray today. I said, "Ray, do you need a blow?" And no. I said, "Dustin, he don't need a blow." Say he don't need a blow. Obviously we'd like to get him a little bit more blows here and there, Jeremy, but today I just thought he was really locked in at both ends, and I thought he made our team better at both ends. And when his mind's right, he's really locked in. I think he's very, very good at both ends of the floor.
You talked about the qualities that he brings to your team. How does he, how do you describe his ability to deliver all of that? I mean, sort of the dedication.
Well, I think he's really competitive. And, that's genetics and mindset. I think certainly with the way we do things in our program, I think we bring guys' competitiveness out and put them in situations where toughness is required. But at the end of the day, a guy like Ray is wired that way. He's just wired. He's competitive. He hates to lose. He's a tough guy. We got other guys in our locker room that are like that as well, and that's what I meant earlier by we have some guys that have a lot of pride in our locker room, and I thought that, at the end of the day, I thought their fight in the second half was the difference in the game. Yeah, at times. At times, he was a little bit in the first half, and maybe we should have. He had one foul there at one juncture. Abrams is a pretty tough dude as well, and Abrams didn't have any fouls, so we went ahead and put Tracy on him there for a little bit to end the half. But all in all, yeah, I mean all those guys are. Joe's competitive. He wants him, and Tracy wanted him. I just try to remind him. I always try to remind him it's 5-on-5. It's a team game. Okay, this isn't track. It's not golf. It's not wrestling. Those are all great sports. But at the end of the day, that's a one-on-one wrestling match. You're hitting your own golf shot. You're running yourself the 100 meters. This is 5 guys connected, defending together, and playing the game together on the offensive end as well. And so with that, if you can get that competitive toughness channeled with each individual and get them to channel that into the team, I think that's when you have a chance to be really good. And there's been a lot of times in non-conference where we've had that channeled well. So hopefully we can continue that pattern.
I imagine the Ray you welcomed to Champaign would not have been able to perform at both ends of the court.
Well, he'll be the first to tell you he wouldn't have been able to play 36 minutes like that. I mean, he was 45 pounds heavier than he is now, 10% body fat higher. His mind would have probably wanted to do it, Steve. But I don't know if his body would have been able to do that. And that I've said this before, Mike Basgear, our strength coach, Chelsea Burkhart, our nutritionist, they deserve a lot of credit for giving him a platform and the resources when it comes to diet, when it comes to strength and conditioning and all those different things. But at the end of the day, he deserves the most credit because a lot of kids his age in college would choose not to go to the level with their diet or the level with strength and conditioning that he did during that off year. Ultimately, the greatest gift God gives us is the gift to choose, and he chose to make that important. And obviously he's paying dividends from that now, all that hard work and effort with his body and with his diet.
Talk about Ray Barlow in the second half, but from a team perspective, gave up 16 points. What changed from that perspective of the team?
Well, I thought we were just tougher. We got to loose balls better. We rebounded the ball better. We were active on the glass. We got more deflections. Our hands were more active. Lauren asked the question about, him giving the ball up. Certainly Ray did a good job on him, but a lot of stuff they run is pick and roll, and so a lot of that's why I mentioned at the outset here, Nana and John I thought did a really good job in particular, and some other guys as well, but mainly those two, of really hedging those ball screens and being active, and that's a part of our team defense. I thought they did a great job with it.
Switching to the offensive side, have you ever been with a team where you had 2 players that actually seem to drive and there's nothing there? I mean, seemingly there's nothing there, and they do it anyway.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is I want those guys to play to their strengths. I think coach's responsibility is to try to get your team to play to its strengths and adapt based on your team. We've got some guys that do a good job of that. Tonight we didn't shoot the ball well from 3. Iki, I thought, had probably of the 5 looks, 3 or 4 of them were wide open. He's going to bury 2 out of 5 of those most nights. I mean, he just is. That's what he's done his whole career. So we missed some of those, but I did think we drove the ball well, Lauren. And the thing that stands out to me is, Tracy gets 16, but it took him 7 shots to get 16. That's really efficient. Joe had 14, but it took him only 7 shots to get that 14. That's really efficient. Ray had 28 points on 16 shots. I mean, that's really efficient. So the main thing for us is we want to be efficient offensively, however we need to be based on how the opponent's playing us, certainly taking into consideration the strengths of our players, and I thought that we did that, fairly well offensively for the majority of the 40 minutes. Now, our defense got amped up in the second half. That's when and that's got to be our calling card. Those guys know that. We can't afford to not, fight defensively for the majority or bulk of a 40-minute game. Today we got away with that a little bit, and we got to learn our lesson there rather quickly. Well, similar to what I said the other day on the teleconference, I like our toughness and togetherness overall for 13 games. Now, today in the first half, I didn't like our toughness very much, but for the bulk of those 13 games, I thought that's our strongest card we're playing, is we're pretty tough, we're together, we play as a team. Our execution on some things was better today. I was better, so we got to keep working that area and see if we can get the execution and the timing. I always want it to happen fast, but Ray didn't play last year. John wasn't here last year. The 5 freshmen that are playing and Mike off the bench, 5 of those freshmen, they weren't here last year. So I understand I want to be aggressive and we want to get that execution piece down. Are we closer today than when we started? Yes, but we still got some work to do there. And then we just kind of let the results take care of themselves. I think the biggest thing is we got to defend and rebound.
Start the grind of Big Ten play now, and mentally, physically, how do you prepare you guys for that?
Well, the one thing is I always try, especially after a win, because I don't know if I did that as much early on in my coaching career. It was always the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. Is I always tell them to enjoy it, and then when they wake up tomorrow morning to forget it happened. We used a quote all week, I think great teams have the ability to celebrate wins and then wake up the next morning, forget they happened, and understand the future's to be won. So hopefully we can continue to be mature and have that mindset, but I want them to enjoy this one. Obviously we got the trip back to Champaign here happening here shortly, and then when we come in tomorrow, it's all business and everything's geared towards preparing our team to play well on Tuesday against Indiana. Yeah. Well, what we're going to do is Mike and I'll sit down. The biggest thing, and I didn't complete it. I meant to have DB complete it, but I had my ops guy looking yesterday. I think Michigan was the only team that he found that had played 6 games away from home like us. All the other teams were playing significantly more home games. So we addressed that a little bit this year. That's been Mike Thomas and I's number one talking point, if you will, when it comes to the schedule. And then we'll see if it makes sense. What's going to happen with Rutgers and Maryland? Is it going to be 18 games? Is it going to be 20? I don't know. How many home games do we want to have? Obviously the one thing that I think we all know we want to continue to do is, play the game against Missouri that we had last weekend, and we want to play in Chicago. This is really important for us. Who we play, whether it's them or who that might be, I think, we'll continue to have discussions about that in terms of how that makes sense philosophically and how that all fits together.
Last question. Nana, first and second half, just what was the difference?
I thought defensively he's really good in the second half. I told him that after the game. I thought he was tremendous. Man, he gave great effort on the glass. He tipped balls. He kept them alive. I thought he screened well, got guys open. Thought he was really good on screen defense at the other end, Jeremy. I thought he played really well, played with a lot of motor. It's what Nana does. I love coaching Nana because he plays hard all the time.
Do you want to talk about John Giuliani and the traditions of your relationship with him?
We can. Last question there. Okay, yeah. John Giuliani obviously, donated monies for the Family Traditions Club. John's an unbelievable guy, first of all. Aside from the donation, which we're so grateful for, his passion for the university, for Illinois athletics is off the charts. But I've I truly enjoyed getting to know him. He's very visionary. He and I have think a lot alike in terms of organizations and culture and vision and how important mission is and all those the people that you have on your bus, all those different things. John and I have had conversations about those, and he's extremely bright and a very, very passionate Illini fan. So I feel blessed to not only the announcement we had today was a blessing, but certainly to have a friendship with John. He's a great human being.